Well, joining us now to talk about all of this is Tracy Davis. She's a former speechwriter for President George H.W. Bush, and we're glad to have you back on the show, Tracy.
Well, thank you, Rita. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Yeah, what do you make of all this? Let's first sort of talk about Michigan. How vital do you think, do you agree with me that it's a pretty, I think it's absolutely critical just from a public PR perspective. And I also think just a psychological perspective for some of his donors and others, watching this from afar, for Mitt Romney to win Michigan, his home state.
I completely agree. It's absolutely critical for him. It's not like he's acted like this is a state that he isn't interested in. He's put so much into it. He was born there. It's his home state. And he is still the leader. And so for him to lose Michigan is very bad news for him.
Yeah, what happens if he loses? What do you think? Well, you can see his line, oh, well, I've won all these others and Super Tuesday is right around the corner. But I think there's going to be a lot of people talking, as some already are, in the strong GOP field going, you know what? Maybe he can't seal the deal after all.
It would it would cripple him to a certain extent. Very much so, as far as being the leader. The way that break happened right after the Santorum got those three states really was terrible for both Gingrich and Romney, but especially Gingrich. But now Romney does have the pressure in the very beginning with Michigan and Arizona, and especially, as I say, if he loses Michigan, he's going to lose a lot of support. People are going to, they are talking about another candidate coming in, and they are really examining Santorum and thinking about if he's too far right to be able to get the independents, to be able to beat Obama. They're talking about brokered elections. But I kind of feel that's not a good scenario, and that we still have time to narrow down our candidate. For one thing, from the debate, this is going to be, I believe, the most important debate of the election.
Yeah, I think this next one is going to be critical. First of all, let's go back to where you talked about with Santorum, because I thought that was a good point. What do you think in terms of how he responded on this issue, where he said, oh, phony theology? Is the White House just trying to make hay and just trying to, create an issue? Here's a little more of Santorum explaining it on CBS's Face the Nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, America is a country that doesn't need a president that they can believe in. America has always succeeded when they have a president that believes in them.
And so here he is, he's that sort of, going on and on. He later kind of says, look, I wasn't questioning his religion. I was just saying that I believe XXX. I wasn't going to the heart of whether he's a spiritual man or whether, he tried to make a discernment of that. The question is, I guess, is it fair to be criticizing him on this? Are they making hay over something that, maybe they're extrapolating it? And is it also because, look, he's a front runner and now he's in the frying pan?
Well, I do believe he has to be a little bit careful about religion, and he may have overstepped it when calling it phony how do you say that? Theology. He said. He said that he made that reference to the Bible, and then he kind of backtracked on it and said, well, that was a worldview, not a personal view. That's what I had read. But a couple of when people get involved in talking about religion or being critical about other people and even use the word Bible and Christian and all of that, it does make the American people nervous, I believe. So I don't know if I feel in this case that the White House overstepped its bounds because of the way he also was trying to backtrack it, but he really has to keep his beliefs. The way he gets strong is when is the strength of his beliefs, but to be careful not to impose them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's where he's got to go that fine line. On the other hand, he's got great favorability ratings. People like him. They feel he's sincere. They feel he's real, whereas there is some criticism of Mitt Romney that maybe he's not real enough, that he's too slick, he's too this. Yes. In some ways, they feel like, okay, well, at least they know where he stands.
I think if I had to give Romney advice, I would say address the elephant in the living room and say, I may not have the charisma that maybe Obama did, 4 years ago, and when he had such a following, but that doesn't necessarily make a good president. But that's not in my gene. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't be a good president, that I don't care about the people. I mean, I almost think he has to address his robot Romney problem, because people who know him say that, he is very personal, and nobody would go through this if they didn't care. But he does have a hard time connecting. The thing about Obama is he connects as a candidate better than he does as a president.
Well, and it's interesting. You're right. He was a great campaigner, and now in sort of terms of delivery, you're going, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
You talked about the debates, and I want to hit on that point. Let's play a little bit. This is Newt Gingrich, of course, one of the candidates out there, who, he's behind in the polls, but he's a fighter, and now he's kind of going after this energy issue. Take a listen.
As president, I will liberate offshore development, and I will liberate federal lands so that, in fact, we can become absolutely independent, so that no future president will ever again bow to a Saudi king.
In light of what's happening with Iran, is that a good issue to be hitting on? I mean, the pocketbooks and oil prices 9-month high right now, Tracy.
It's a fantastic issue for a number of reasons. The way that we're still involved in the Middle East, and that makes us all nervous, and also the gas prices. And that's the thing. You never know. Gingrich, during this next debate, look at what happened in South Carolina.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could hit it out of the park again.
He could hit it out of the park. He won South Carolina because of those debates. He lost Florida because of the money spent on him and because of the debates. So that's why I think this one is so crucial. We haven't had one in so long that we really haven't heard them address. We were so used to them, and I think it's going to be huge. The only thing is it comes down again to what makes people nervous about Gingrich, and that is his unilateral way he speaks, that he can do these things when there are a lot of things that he can't do as president without the approval of Congress and without going through certain steps. And that's a grandiosity that gets people excited but also makes them nervous. It's sort of a double-edged sword. But I would definitely not rule Gingrich out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, he's a fighter. You never know. I mean, he's saying maybe I'm the comeback kid, and he knows, in history there have been people who have come back. So he's fighting those. You never know.
He really does. When he talks about his specifics, I'm going to repeal Dodd-Frank, and I'm going to repeal Obamacare. I do that all the time. But like on the first day of office, but the way he speaks, really, Santorum doesn't exactly have that. And I honestly think that the electorate is confused, but it's going to all sort itself out.
No, it is. It's all over the place. And as you point out, look, you followed a lot of these. I have too. It is still early in the process, even though we've done so much of it and had so many debates. Tracy,
right.
Thank you very much, Tracy Davis. And when we come back, everybody, thank you, Tracy. When we come back,